The soft on my new refrigerator was oddly soothing. Its sleek silver surface gleamed in the light, a sharp contrast to the old, faded green monstrosity that had been taking up space in my kitchen for far too long. After weeks of saving, searching for the best deal online, and finally dealing with the delivery crew's struggle to get into the house, it was mine. I filled it with fresh produce, drinks, and enough leftover food to last for days. The satisfaction of having a modern, working appliance had left me in a deep, peaceful sleep. That was until a loud bang snapped me awake. It echoed through the house, ripping me from my dreams. My heart raced in my chest as I stumbled out of bed, still groggy. What on earth was that? I peered out the window and froze. There it was, my fridge, shiny and new, sitting in the driveway in broad daylight. Behind it, struggling with the heavy appliance, was Linda, the neighborhood's self-appointed busybody. She had always made people uncomfortable with her pointed, often hurtful remarks about anyone different from her. I could feel anger rising up in me as I stepped outside, barefoot and already furious. "Linda, what are you doing with my fridge?" She straightened up, caught off guard for a moment, but quickly recovered with a forced look of innocence. "What does it look like?" "I'm just trying to move this eyesore. It's blocking the view of my garden. Honestly, it's an eyesore, and it doesn't belong here." I was beyond frustrated. "That's my fridge. I just bought it yesterday. Are you seriously trying to steal it?" "Steal it? Don't be ridiculous. I thought it was junk. Who would want something so ugly? It doesn't even fit in around here," she sneered, her tone dripping with contempt. "Get off my property, Linda, and leave my fridge alone." As I walked closer to push her away, she suddenly screamed, a high-pitched, exaggerated cry. "Help! Help! This woman is attacking me. Someone call the police." My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Linda, stop lying. You're the one trying to steal my fridge." Ignoring me, she pulled out her phone. "911, I need help. A neighbor is attacking me. She's completely out of control. Please send someone quickly." I stood in shock as she spun a tale of lies, describing how I had unprovokedly attacked her, how I was out of my mind, and how she feared for her safety. She was so convincing that I started doubting if anyone would believe me. I thought about calling the police myself, but I knew they'd be here soon, and I just had to stick to the truth. The flashing lights of a patrol car soon appeared, growing brighter with each second. Two officers, a man and a woman, stepped out and approached us. Linda, seeing her chance, cranked up the theatrics. She sobbed, clutching her chest, pointing at me with a trembling finger. "Thank goodness you're here. She's gone crazy. I was just trying to help, and she attacked me." The female officer turned to me with a calm but sharp gaze. "What's going on here?" Taking a breath to calm myself, I explained, "That woman is lying. She was trying to steal my fridge. I caught her in the act. It's brand new, and I bought it yesterday." The officer glanced at the fridge, then back at me. "Stay calm, ma'am. We'll sort this out." They separated us. Linda was led to one patrol car, and I was taken to the other. I gave the officers my side of the story, how I had just bought the fridge, had it delivered, and was enjoying a nap when I heard the loud crash. I even told them about Linda's history of causing tension in the neighborhood. The female officer made notes, asking for any proof of purchase. I pulled up my receipt on my phone and offered to show the bank statement as well. Meanwhile, the male officer was questioning Linda. I could hear bits of her story, still sticking to her claim of being the victim. After a while, the officers talked quietly to each other before the female officer returned. "We're going to need to search your property just to ensure everything checks out." I agreed, relieved they were taking this seriously. They began by inspecting the fridge, confirming it was new and unmarked by any signs that it had been left abandoned. They then came inside to look at where my old refrigerator had been. Just as they were wrapping up, the male officer came out, holding a small pile of papers and a tarnished silver locket. "Ma'am," he said, his tone more serious now, "we found something that might be important." He explained that while searching Linda's house for any sign of her claims of being attacked, they had found a hidden compartment in her attic. Inside were documents, including fraudulent insurance claims, letters describing ways she had scammed local businesses, and a journal full of hateful, racist rants. The locket, he added, had been stolen from a nearby antique shop months ago. A shift in the air was noticeable, and the officers' attitudes changed. They had gone from a simple neighborhood dispute to something much more serious. The evidence was too much to ignore. Linda's act was unraveling quickly. The officers confronted her with what they had discovered. She denied it all at first, claiming the documents were planted and the locket was a misunderstanding. But as they pressed her, her calm facade cracked. She became jittery, her lies started to fall apart, and it was clear she couldn't keep up the charade. It turned out Linda had been involved in multiple scams over the years, filing fake insurance claims, stealing from local stores using fake coupons, and even worse, she had been spreading hateful rhetoric for a long time. The truth was finally coming to light. As the officers continued their questioning, Linda's composure completely disintegrated. The fake confidence she'd used to bully and manipulate everyone in the neighborhood melted away under the weight of the evidence. The fraudulent insurance claims, the fake receipts, and the journal full of vitriol were undeniable. What had started as a petty neighborhood dispute over a refrigerator had turned into a much larger scandal. The officers didn't mince words. They explained to Linda that the discovery of her criminal activity had changed the direction of their investigation. I stood there, still in disbelief at how quickly the situation had escalated, but with a sense of vindication that only grew stronger with each passing second. What had begun as a brazen theft attempt had turned into something far more significant. Linda was not just a nuisance. She was a criminal with a long history of deception, and now the evidence was stacking up against her. As she was handcuffed and led to the patrol car, her usual arrogance and condescension had disappeared. She was left with nothing but the reality of her actions and the consequences they would bring. The female officer turned to me with a reassuring nod. "You did the right thing by staying calm. This is a much bigger issue than just a stolen fridge." I could feel the weight of her words sink in. It was true. This wasn't just about my refrigerator anymore. It was about the years of deceit, the harm Linda had caused, and the damage she had done to people's lives with her lies and bigotry. I couldn't help but feel a sense of justice, knowing that she would finally have to face the repercussions of her actions. The officers finished up their report, and after they took down all the necessary details, they left the scene with Linda in tow. As they drove away, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. It was as if the tension that had hung over my house and my neighborhood for so long had finally been lifted. For the first time in ages, I felt like I could breathe again. Linda, with all her schemes and manipulations, was no longer a threat. Later that evening, as I sat in my kitchen, staring at my shiny new refrigerator, I couldn't help but laugh. It was funny how such a small, seemingly insignificant thing, a refrigerator, had sparked the chain of events that had exposed so much more than I could have imagined. I thought about all the times I'd quietly endured Linda's comments and the uncomfortable interactions, always brushing them off because, honestly, who wanted to get involved? But this was different. I had stood up for myself, and in doing so, I had exposed a much darker side of her that no one had known about before. What started as a simple, quiet morning had ended in a whirlwind of discovery and justice. I had learned the hard way that sometimes it's not the loudest or most obvious threats that pose the greatest danger, but those who hide behind their words and appearances, masquerading as innocent neighbors while plotting far more insidious things. As the days passed and word spread throughout the neighborhood, the sense of relief was palpable. The residents who had been uneasy around Linda finally found some peace, knowing that she would no longer be able to hurt them or manipulate the truth. And me? I had my fridge, yes, but more importantly, I had reclaimed my peace of mind. It felt like a fresh start, like the neighborhood was finally free of the shadow she'd cast over it for so long. For the first time in ages, I could smile when I looked out the window, knowing that justice had been done.